Welcome, gamers, to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming. We're on episode 193. Today is April 25th. My name, Craig Perales. Joining me, Mandrew Montemayor.
We out here.
Hey, we are definitely out here. I noticed, I think you were writing in a chat with Devin, but I'm just now noticing. Did you get a nice clean cut?
Oh, yeah, I couldn't do the tell anymore, so
How long did you work it for? I feel like it was there yesterday. It's there one day and it's gone the next.
I can't even remember when I started it. I'm pretty sure it was like before Christmas.
Was
it? Yeah, because it took like a while for like the back to get. It was pretty long back there. Actually.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because I just remember looking at it last week and I thought it was like brushing your shoulders at least, right?
The sides were on my shoulders, but like the middle of it was like literally like maybe like third vertebrae down my spine.
There's only so many people that can pull it off, and you, sir, are one of them. So, guys, thank you for joining us today. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. If you guys are interested in following us on any of our social media, our Linktree link is in the description. And if you guys are listening to the audio version of this podcast, find it on your podcast platform of choice. So, guys, before we dive into our two main topics that we're going to talk about today, we like to do What Are You Up To? We take a second, talk about anything we've been playing, anything we've been watching, any events we may have coming up. So, Andrew, why don't you tee off, my friend?
As far as what I've been watching, I'll start with that, actually, because I think it just dropped today. Actually, I should have checked the date on there. But as many of you guys know out there, like, I'm a big fan of, like, music and even, like, video game music. So there's another channel I watch called, like, the Punk Rock NBA. And that's usually because he does more of the kind of music that I listen to, like metalcore and stuff. But he did one today on Mick Gordon and his influence with the Doom music creating for Doom and Doom Eternal. And I think it was like a 20-minute long video.
I was hoping you were sending me the link, and I don't think you did. I want to watch it.
I should. It's actually really, really good because obviously I'm of the mind that like I don't think you could make another Doom Eternal. Like his impression on that game, it's undeniable for what he did because there was people's reaction videos. But he took it like a step further, and he's like, well, I didn't realize this either. He's like, now what they call it, even though some people argue, you know, metalcore, whatever, like gent metal, it's called argent metal. And so it's stuff that sounds like Doom-like, where it's got that like genty, like that heavy strum plus like heavy electric. And argent is, I think it's argent energy is like that devil energy or whatever that they use from Doom. So that type of style of music is named after him. And like so after the game came out, there's a lot of, I didn't even realize it either. So like a huge band, one of my favorite bands, Bring Me the Horizon, talked about what an influence that was on their album, and that he would play the game and then go back to the musical session with ideas that they just loved it so much. They ended up reaching out to Mick Gordon that came and helped them produce their album. He's also helped other big bands like Motionless in White. So I just thought that was like a really cool thing to watch because I didn't really see like, obviously the impact he had on the game, but as far as like music, I'm like, oh, I never thought about that with these other bands. Like, I definitely hear it now, and now that's like totally what I think
need
of.
to see this,
and so I'll send it to you because it's really.
Well, I was
really
gonna try to grab it for this, but I completely forgot until you brought it up, and I was looking. I'm like, I don't know if he sent it to me this morning or last night, but I was like, I don't see the link, so I definitely want to check that out.
Yeah, he was saying too, like how because I've shown it to you before where he played it live at the Video Game Awards, and how that's like a thing that really hasn't been done, like a music that kind of transcends the game and it almost becomes like its own entity where like, you know, you can put that on and listen to it and it sounds like modern like metal.
Excellent.
And then as far as anything goes, I was kind of gonna wait and do that Aiden 100 Heroes.
Yeah, I just downloaded it myself.
And I'm like, man, alright, 100 Heroes. I'm kind of reading some of the pros about it. Like, even if you have some weaker, maybe you want to use them later, you can jump up in XP. I'm like, people kind of gave it like 6s, which I don't mind, but a 6 at 40 to 50 hours to beat, I'm like, I don't know that I have that kind of time to put into a game that seems like it might be kind of mid. So I decided to do Far Cry 6. So I'm like, okay, like, I don't want to grind anything. I can just really take it at my pace. Shooter's always just easy, and it's a game that's, you know, tried and true. I'm only like an hour or so in so far, because I am leaving this weekend, so I've been I've been busy kind of getting everything in order, because I'm actually going out to California for my brother. It's his last high school baseball game before he graduates and goes on to college.
What a man.
We're going to go out there. But either way, I'm excited for Far Cry, because I'm like, you know what, they're not crazy hard. It's something I could have fun with and just really, you know, you just kind of cruise through them. It's almost like an open world Call of Duty campaign.
You get that Giancarlo Esposito chewing up that juicy dialogue.
Yeah, it's so good.
Excellent. As far as what I've been doing, Playing wise, not too much more. A little more Final Fantasy VII. I just beat I always forget what it's called. I always want to say Queen's Gambit, but I think it's called like Queen's Bishop or Queen, whatever the game is.
Oh, the card game?
Yeah, I just did I just won the tournament on the Shinra boat. So that's if you know where I'm at, that's where I'm at. But I was going to give a shout out to the Brothers Take. If you guys are looking at following something that's an in-depth look, I believe they go chapter by chapter for each of the games. So if you are finished with it and you want some expert analysis on it, definitely go check them out. I also played with my buddy TK yesterday some Halo. We knocked out our weekly challenges in a day, but it was his birthday yesterday, so that's what we did for his birthday. We hung out, we played Halo. So happy birthday, TK. As far as watching. We were talking about it off camera. We both finished Fallout, right? You said you finished it last night. It's great. It was so great. Good. The back end is clearly, to me, better than the beginning. I still don't like Maximus much, but I will say he did get better. Dude, Thaddeus, for me, ended up stealing the show. And maybe with some light spoilers. Dude, when he gets shot in the neck, and I was like, no, not Thaddeus. And then it's just like, what's going on? He's like, ah. So anyway, he ended up being fun, and I thought he was going to be a dork. Lucy is awesome. Again, Walton Goggins, not Walter. I don't know why I kept saying that the other day. Was awesome. I did have a question, though, because, and again, maybe I missed it, or maybe you can answer it for me, is Moldaver. She is clearly alive, and she knew Cooper Howard from the 200 years prior, but at the end she dies apparently, and so I was kind of looking up. I'm like, okay, is she a clone or what's going on? The most I found was, indeed, some believe that Moldaver, the mysterious and apparently deceased leader of this part of the Wasteland's New California Republic, who has somehow survived the nuclear apocalypse and for 200 years afterward, despite displaying no signs of ghoulish behavior, is a synth. Now, I don't know. I don't remember much of Fallout. Do you know what a synth is? Does that make sense for why she would be there?
A synth is pretty much an android. It's a synthetic human what that is, and that's introduced in Fallout 4. And it's funny, too, because that's one of my favorite jokes, is that's like the big paranoia, is people are being replaced by synthetic people. And this guy's like, my wife left the cap off the toothpaste. That's how I knew she was a synth. And he had her like deported to like a boot camp or something like that for it. So, I mean, I guess that could make sense, but...
Did that not trouble you at all? Because I'm like, wait, how is she here?
That didn't even really occur to me. I actually thought maybe that, and maybe they'll explain it on the next season, is that maybe, because, big spoilers for it, in Vault 31, when, I forget what the brother's name is, and this is in Fallout 4 as well, there's a bunch of people that are cryogenically frozen. So I figured a Vault Tech can't only be the only people that have that technology, or maybe they hijacked the vaults, or maybe she had happened to get into a vault as like an agent or something like that, an infiltrator or something. So I took it as, because when you see her, it does look like she's clearly aged from when you see her in the past.
Right, yeah.
So it's not like time hasn't passed for her, which I don't think that synths could age. I can't remember. It's been a while since I played Fallout 4. So I took it as that she's frozen, but that's actually kind of a cool theory.
Yeah, because I was actually looking at some stuff, and I'm like, okay. And then again, I'll leave it to the mystery. I'm sure they're going to explain it in the next one. But that was the whole thing. Was like, oh, she looks different than I remember. I'm like, wait, I get why you're here for 200 years later, but how is she? And then again, you see all the cryogenic frozen stuff, and it's like, everyone comes out of it. I'm like, okay, that would make sense if she did do that, but the synth thing makes more sense if she did somehow. Or it's a version of her or something like that.
I think people lean more or kind of really out there with that because it seems like only Vault-Tec has that technology because her dad ends up being revealed that he was one of the people that was frozen. He had actually met Walton in the past, Cooper in the past. And he was like,
awesome. I love that part.
It was so good.
Yeah, so definitely check out the show. The more that I saw it, again, unlike a House of the Dragon or Game of Thrones, there really wasn't a pop moment. So for me, binging it all, and I did 4 episodes and 4 episodes, like, it was perfect doing it in that model. So I didn't see a problem with it. So
I was gonna say, I think now too, and retroactively, that it has that because we were talking about that article the other day where they're like, oh, does this show benefit from being binged? Clearly it does, because people binge it, they'll probably still watch it. But now Fallout 4 and Fallout 76, however old those games are at the top of charts of games being downloaded and played. So it's like, oh, okay, I love this show. Maybe let me get my first try into this game, or let me go back to something that I love that now has like a modern update or something. So either way, I think it worked to its benefit.
Yeah, and that's one of the cool things too when you get kind of that shot in the arm of that breath of fresh life. It's like, yeah, anyone that wasn't playing Fallout, because I was telling TK, I'm like, have you have you started Fallout yet? And he's like, no, I never played the game. I'm like, yeah, but that shouldn't stop you from watching a good show, and it might make you want to play it. You have the Game Pass. I mean, it's a free game on there now. I know there's some controversy with PlayStation Plus people not getting, like, the free patch or something like that. They were really pissed off. But then Fallout 76 was actually the highest played one out of all the Fallouts, which is good, because that game had a really, really rocky
terrible start.
Maybe we should tip them for how good that game is.
Oh, God.
Oh, so as far as what else I've been watching is I just started Curb Your Enthusiasm, which I forgot, man, that this show started in 2000. It's 2024, so there's 12 seasons. You guys can't see it if you're watching the YouTube, but like, look how he used to look right here, dude. Look how old he's getting, man. So he's been doing the show for a long time. And if you guys aren't familiar with it, it's the co-creator of Seinfeld, which I'm a huge fan of. Larry David's kind of version of his show, rated R style. I never could get past the first season, and then Geno's been watching it. Every time I talk to him, he's laughing about it, and I'm like, dude, I just couldn't get past the beginning. He's like, just start on season 3 and then go from there. So I was watching it. I got to like episode 5. I'm like, I can't do that. So I stopped and I went back, finished season 1, finished season 2, just bullied through it. I'm glad I did, because once it gets past the first, it's like Seinfeld. Once you get past the first season 1 or 2, it is better. So I do plan on watching. I didn't know it was 12 seasons. It's a really good show. It's smart and creative. It won a ton of Emmys. The finale actually just happened, so I believe the show is officially done, and everyone's saying it's an excellent finale, so I can't wait to do that. But that is what I have been watching. So leave us down in the comments below, guys, what you've been up to, what you've been watching, what you've been playing. Oh, I do want to say a shout out too, because I'm leaving. You're going to California. Me, Geno, DeAndre, Renee, we're all going to Vegas this Saturday for Mary Osmondson's wedding. So congratulations.
Congrats, Mary.
So guys, we got to move into this big one. So, with that out of the way, let's move into our main topic. And this is a story that Andrew sent me, because I didn't even see it. And it's this wild notion that this Mike Ibarra, who's the former president of Blizzard, had this idea that you should be able to tip game developers more money if it's a game that you think you like. And it instantly got backlash. I'm going to read this thing, but just because it's a lot and I'm going to dive into mine, just off the top of your head, what was the first thing that came to your mind when you were reading it? Because when you said that, I was like, no way. And then I'm reading this thing, and it's as stupid as it sounds, but what are your initial thoughts, and then we'll dive into it.
The first time hearing about it, because I know that we had other bigger things to talk about, and that we've been wanting to come back to this, I was like, dude, you're just so out of touch with what a normal person makes in this economy. You're so out of touch.
Okay, so guys, here we go. And this is a little split up, so if I'm scrolling for a minute, if you guys watch it on YouTube, it should be able to pop up. But this X-Video game exec is slammed for bizarrely suggesting players tip developers, always put burden on the customers. Yeah, he's getting a lot of shit for this. So, it's virtually impossible to get behind this. A former top video game executive suggests that players who are already giving an arm and a leg for expensive top titles take excessive tipping to the virtual world next by paying a gratuity of up to 30% extra. Mike Ibarra, the former president of the major gaming company Blizzard Entertainment, floated the concept most will dislike last week on X. He said it is to support already well-paid game developers despite their products cost being already a lot for players. When I beat a game, there are some that just leave me in awe of how amazing the experience was. He posted, rattling off some titles he felt worthy of a tip, like Red Dead Redemption 2, a game that's like 5 or 6 years old at this point. At the end of the game, I've often thought, I wish I could give these folks another 10 or 20 because it was worth more than my initial 70, and they didn't try to nickel and dime me every second. Let me scroll. For context, a 20% tip on a 70% meal is $14. Meanwhile, the average game development salary is $108,471 according to ZipRecruiter. Potentially admirable sentiment aside, the message is perhaps tone deaf as customers continuously pay add-on fees to get the full experience of their games. Long gone are the days of simply running to GameStop, buying a disc, and playing to completion. Scroll down. Games now sell the bells and whistles separately by pushing players to purchase recurring elements, special features, deeper access, and cosmetic additions not included in the base price. In 2022, Fortnite creator Epic Games settled a $520 million lawsuit for designing the teen-loved game in a way that tricked kids into making extra purchases. Players even dole out triple figures for special cross-platform versions of games where Xbox and PlayStation users can meet up online. Now, the article goes on, if you guys, and the link's in the description, if you guys want to continue reading on about it, but it's just one of these things where it's like, this millionaire is saying these things where he wants to give more $1 million companies money. And we live in this world where there's so many games that are just day one busted, day one that have bugs, day one that need patches. So where, like perfect example is like Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk came out and it was, I mean, we didn't have a bad problem. We actually played on the Series X, but if you were playing on the One X or the PS4, it was bad. And you spent $70 on something that did not work. So, okay, let's look at it this way. Because now the game runs flawlessly, and I'd argue that it's probably better than we got a chance to play it, and I wish we almost did wait on it. So, so you want to reward them for a game that finally works, but like what happened to the people that spent $70 and got nothing? Because the argument you could say is, if I'm going to tip them, are they going to pay me back? And again, when something's busted like that, it might have been cool to give people credits or like a cool skin that we never got, but like, am I willing to give $20 to a game that, like, if I played it 4 years later, is finally great? And it's one of these things where it's like, in theory, it sounds fine. Do what you want to do with your money. People make microtransactions all the time, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I'm just looking at it going, like, what's the point? Like, what you're talking about are these huge companies. Like, you're not mentioning studios like MDHR, which is making Cuphead, which is designed by two brothers. You're not talking about Moon Studios, who makes Ori. You're not talking about these independent studios. He's talking about tipping out Rockstar. You want to give Rockstar $14, $20 more? These guys are a company that print money. That $14 isn't going anywhere. And if you're going to say that that money goes to paychecks for the employees, then that's one thing. But if it's just going to be more money that the company itself takes, then I don't get it. You're going to tip CD Projekt Red more money? Okay, if you're going to explain to me that it goes to the guys making the game personally, that's one thing. But I don't think that's even what he's suggesting.
I was gonna say too, like, who does that go to? The developer, the publisher, like, what does it go to? And I feel like that's almost what makes it even more tone deaf is, one, you're out of touch with like what the average person makes right now.
Oh, baby, you out of time.
As far as, you know, like in this economy, but not to mention the fact, like, okay, so you're saying maybe me supporting the game isn't enough at the bare minimum to buy it, to buy a special edition, to buy whatever, isn't ensuring the longevity of this company that now I feel like I have to dole out like extra to go. So buying something day one no longer is support enough, or pre-ordering, so like that's not enough.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And I was gonna say, I don't even want to get into like, because this would be like a whole nother can of worms. At what point then too do you take this tipping culture and it goes the wrong way? Because now, let's say that does go to the developer. When does the higher ups there, like, okay, well, you guys don't get your bonuses because now you're getting tipped all this money or something like that. The same way people, you know, like across the street over in Laughlin, like, you know, the bars, waiters, waitresses and stuff like that, you don't make however much because you're paid on the kindness of strangers, hoping that they'll tip you. So like now, do game developers get paid less now because people are going to be tipping more? Like, you know, it just opens up like a whole extra thing that is just so unnecessary.
And not needed, not asked for. Some of the comments that I just want to read off that people were saying were, let's do charity to big companies to support developers. Let's always put the burden on the customers. What a fantastic idea. It's like, why is that on us now? I often play a game and I am disappointed. Can I get my money back? It's like, dude, I was laughing at that one. And then this last one just simply said, let's not start this trend. And again, it just, where is this guy coming from? From what tower is this guy sitting going, you know what? Red Dead Redemption was so good. I've got all the money in the world. I wish I could have done $20. You got to understand, 70 is still a lot to a lot of people. I mean, and again, microtransactions happen all the time. It's not insane to think of, hey, you know, if I've got the means, it's okay. But what we're not clarifying is, where does it go and how is it going to affect the game industry? And it's just a dumb idea.
And then too, like, where do you even take that further? So let's say I buy, because I can't think of an example right now. Or I think Final Fantasy 15 I think canceled like the last planned big chunk of DLC that they had. But let's say you bought a game on a plan of a roadmap and they end up canceling that roadmap. Well, do I get to charge you back money then? Because now I can't return this game because it's past a certain date and I've done whatever. And I bought this on the promise of, okay, we have this for now and then this is coming down the road. Do I now get to, okay, well, if I could give you more, can you give me back more for my experience now? Yeah. Like, especially if it turns out to be a shitty experience?
Yeah, it just seems like it's only going one way. And not everyone is even wanting to do this. And I don't know who he is to even suggest it. Like, this isn't coming from fans. This is coming from the ex-CEO of Blizzard.
It's just such an insane thought. It's just you're so out of touch with reality. But I guess money isn't a thing when you have plenty of it.
When you have plenty of it. So it was an interesting story, and it's just I was reading it last night again, and I was just like, God, this guy's an idiot. So guys, leave down in the comments below your thoughts and questions on what you think, if this makes any sense. Anything else you want to say?
I would say hopefully finally these corporate fat cats will pay for their crimes.
Right, comrades, eh?
Hey, comrade, hey.
So with that down of the way, guys, we're just going to pull from one question today. So if you guys are interested in leaving us questions of the week, you can do so a couple different ways. You can email us at lastcallproductions@gmail.com. You can leave it in the YouTube comments down below, or you can find me at Craig Perales on social media, and I can take it there. And this question comes from Chris Trejo, who writes, how awesome was the new Deadpool trailer? This thing looks amazing. I can't wait to go see it. What did you guys think? And again, always, if there's ever any questions that aren't about video games, send them in, because we love just talking about movies sometimes. That's why I wanted to do this one. Hopefully it's a shorter episode than normal, but I think we're going to dive into it a little bit. So yeah, the newest one, Deadpool 3, officially titled Deadpool and Wolverine. If you guys aren't familiar with the plot, is Wolverine is recovering from his injuries when he crosses paths with the loudmouth Deadpool. They team up to defeat a common enemy. This is coming out sooner than I remembered. It's coming out July 26th of 2024. And the trailer, so I believe the first teaser trailer came out during the Super Bowl, and I thought it was okay. A lot of people were all really, really hyped on it. I was like, it was fine, right? It did what a teaser did.
It was a hype teaser.
Yeah, I was like, I can't wait to see it. But this new trailer, though, dude, is amazing. I think it's like 2 minutes and some change.
It would come out like 2 days ago?
Yeah, it's a couple days ago, dude. It's fantastic. It definitely sets the tone, because even when you saw the teaser trailer, some people were still like, is Disney going to get their hands on it and water it down? But this thing is legit a hard R. It's clearly it's the last Fox movie coming out the gate. What happened?
I was like, you know what? It's funny that you mentioned that, because after watching I forgot Disney even has anything to do with it.
Oh, yeah. So that's what a lot of people were nervous, because this is, after Disney bought Fox, this is like the last movie that they have coming out. This is kind of, it's the last X-Men movie, kind of, right? Hugh Jackman is coming out of retirement for this thing.
Huge Jackman?
Huge Jack Daddy. The trailer, I think, nails the comedy. It's one of the other things too, where Marvel was getting a lot of slack or a lot of pushback saying you guys are oversaturating your own market, where I believe this year, this movie, if not maybe another one, are the only Marvel superhero movies they have coming out. So this is going to be the big boy. And I'm going to break down the trailer for a little bit, some spots that I wanted to, but how did you like this trailer when we saw it? Because I watched it, I was like, goddamn.
First of all, I would hate that anyone would say this would oversaturate the Marvel market, because this is its own thing.
No, that Marvel has been, and that this year they only have one now. There's not 5 movies anymore.
I thought they were saying, I was like, even if there was 10 of them, this would be still outside that realm.
No, it's like this one's going to get all the fixings, because it's just like, it's the only one they have coming out now.
No, I'm totally in love with it. I'm so hyped for it. I remember I wasn't really like crazy about Deadpool until I saw the first movie. I was like one of those people like, maybe just the trailers don't sit well with me. I love 1. 2, I actually really love 2. I think 2 is still really good. I know some people maybe had a problem with that, but I would say it's not like a bad movie. It's still amazing, and this just looks like it's definitely better in every way.
How do you like the tone of where they're going for? Because the movie is a comedy, just with heavy, heavy action, and the fact that they're pulling from Wolverine, and again, which Wolverine is this? Could you argue that it's the same Wolverine from X1 through 3? Because I think once you start doing Days of Future Past and Apocalypse and Wolverine Origins, it gets a little muddy, but I'm curious of which version this Wolverine is supposed to be, because this is a Wolverine in a suit we've never seen before. The classic, in my mind, it's the classic yellow and blue, and there's a couple moments in there where he's like, I'm not a hero, kid, or whatever. Yeah. It's like, it looks really dark, and he's just like, my world's about to get gone, that's like you fucked up yours, so it's like, it looks like it's going to hit some notes and hit some heavy, heavy notes.
And light spoilers for the trailer. I guess it's a trailer. Go watch it. I feel like it's got to be like the Logan, the same Logan one that we got, and maybe, I don't want to say younger, because even though he does look younger, because they do have like the little twisty toy with him spinning on it. I guess that was from the previous one too. But then when he goes to do the claws, that's straight out of Logan, where his claws don't fully extract because of his age. So I feel like that's the Logan that's going to be.
And if they can capture that tone, like if you can, dude, and I'm assuming they will. I have no reason to think they won't. If you can mesh Logan's theme with Deadpool comedy, and we get that movie, dude, then this thing looks like it's going to be full of butter.
Oh, you can definitely tell too, because this especially from that start when he goes like that Logan is ready to die. Like he doesn't care.
Dude, when he leans in and gives that smile, dude,
Yeah.
he had a real Sabretooth looking vibe going on. I watched that again and again. So, and before we dive into the three things I wanted to point out, dude, that fight scene where he gets stabbed in the crotch and then he just starts blasting him in the ribs. I'm like, dude, I cannot wait to see that in its entirety because I'm hoping that's like a full 5-minute battle.
Yeah, no, every part of this trailer was hype.
And a lot of people, I remember when a lot of the photos were him walking with long sleeves, and everyone's like, oh, he doesn't have the arms anymore. But they put that to bed when he turns around that corner and he's still just buff his shit. So
he's huge.
So there's a couple things I wanted to point out of what was in the trailer, just maybe in case you missed it. And well, clearly this thing is supposed to be riddled with cameos. How many, we don't really know. As far as what IMDb points out, it's got Jennifer Gardner showing up as Elektra. Josh Brolin's supposed to be rumored coming back as Cable. Rumored as Professor X as Patrick Stewart, but I would solidify that one. I would imagine, dude, if Hugh Jackman's coming out, Patrick Stewart's going to be there, and I think he has to be in it. Ray Park is Toad. You have Azazel. I always say his name wrong, but he was in, not Days of Future Past. First Class. The one with Kevin Bacon. Pyro's in it. Shatterstar's in it. Colossus is in it. There's parts where you get to see Lady Deathstrike, and that's just the icing on the cake in the beginning of it, because at the end, and this is from Games Radar, I'll put the link in the description if you guys want to see all the kind of Easter eggs they pointed out, but these were the main ones that caught my eye, and that's the Doctor Strange portals. Towards the end of the promo, Deadpool and Wolverine are seen leaping into an interdimensional portal, you know, the ones conjured by the likes of Masters of the Mystic Arts Wong and Doctor Strange. Created using sling rings, the wormholes essentially connect two different locations and can even transport people from one universe to another. We already know that Thor is going to be making an appearance in the movie. Might Stephen Strange too. See, I didn't even know Thor was supposed to be in it, which is even cooler because this is clearly bridging the gaps between all these movies. So, Doctor Strange staying in that. Do you think it's going to be specifically one of them? Do you think it's going to be another, maybe a dark version? Do you think it's going to be our MCU version or maybe a different multiverse?
I think it'll be the MCU one, but I mean, we've already seen like a few other Doctor Stranges, so I mean, either way, that wouldn't be like anything too crazy outside the realm. What would really do it for me is if they brought in, I can't think of his name right now, is Sabretooth from Liev Schreiber, because that's my favorite Sabretooth.
Dude, I want them both, and I want them to do a back-to-back fight scene, dude. Like, that would be sick. The other big thing that caught my eye was the giant dead Ant-Man. I had to watch it again because I didn't realize it was Ant-Man's suit until I watched it again. I'm like, oh yeah, that's his helmet. So, and if you guys watch it on YouTube, the picture should be up. It says, when the above shot was first glimpsed in the new Deadpool and Wolverine teaser, we all assumed it was just a discarded suit of Ant-Man's in its giant form. But things take a turn when the helmet opens and reveals a huge human skull inside. Is it Scott Lang's? It fits perfectly, so it's not a stretch to assume that it is. Talk about bleak. Eagle-eyed viewers can also see two X-Men in the forefront of the frame too. Lady Deathstrike, who was played by Kelly Hu in X2, and Azazel, who appeared in X-Men First Class. Fire-controlling mutant Pyro from Fox's original X-Men trilogy appeared in the first trailer, so chances are there's even more cameos to look. So yeah, that scene alone, just showing everyone that's there, it's just like, dude, that was a pretty cool scene.
I'm saying you can tell where they're pulling from because, I mean, that's from the Old Man Logan comic. It's actually not Ant-Man, it's Giant Man. It's Henry Pym, because I think they call it Pym Falls because that's where he died. And so, yeah, his helmet's there, and it's like a big base, and it's his skull or whatever. And that's just straight out of the Old Man Logan comic, so there's some sort of variation of it.
It's like how you can see his teeth right there. It's gnarly. And then, we'll get to that in a second. And then, the last thing that I pointed out was that Loki's Alioth that you can see in the trailer. We've seen a lot of Loki-related stuff in Deadpool and Wolverine's 2 publicly released trailers so far, from the Minutemen to the TVA, but it wasn't until the newest promo that we got our first official look at Alioth in the movie. The trans-temporal entity, or smoke monster if you're so inclined, that guarded the Citadel at the end of time was first seen in Loki Season 1, when Loki and Sylvie set out to confront He Who Remains. Given that Deadpool is tasked with saving the sacred timeline in the trailer shown behind closed doors at CinemaCon 2024, yeah, they got like 8 minutes of the movie, and it's supposed to be fantastic. It stands to reason that the regenerating degenerate has a run-in with Alioth. So, I was kind of just pointing to that because it's like you get Doctor Strange put into this, which ties all the magical stuff up. You've got Ant-Man, which puts us directly into like the MCU and the Avengers, and then you have Alioth, which is tying the Loki and the TV series. So it's like Deadpool 3 is not pulling out any stops of being connected to every piece of the MCU. So, I don't know, that's kind of what caught my eye. If you're watching the trailer again, give it another look. Was there anything else that caught your eye in the trailer that stood out at all?
I mean, not unless you want to sit there and like nitpick every little thing.
That was a funny scene.
Oh, yeah, because it's ripped straight out of fucking Mad Max. But no, besides, like, the big villain.
Yeah, so now that we're there, we can now talk about Cassandra Nova. Now, I don't really know much about her. I've never really dug into it. Do you know much about? Were you familiar with her at all?
No, I had to look it up because it got blasted on something, and I'm like, okay, this is a rumored villain. I'm like, okay, who's this? I'm kind of reading a little bit about it.
All
I'm
right.
like, okay, like I could see this. That's cool.
All right, so guys, come along with Uncle Craigie, and we'll learn about her together. So, Cassandra Nova is a supervillain appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics, most commonly in association with X-Men, created by writer Grant Morrison and artist Frank Quietly. Cassandra first appeared in X-Men 114. I bet that's a hot book right now. Cassandra is a Mamudrai, a parasitic life form born bodiless on the astral plane. Cassandra is a twin sister of X-Men founder, the telepath Charles Xavier. While in the womb together, Charles recognized her evil presence and killed Cassandra, resulting in her stillbirth. The Mamundrai that became Cassandra became telepathically entangled with Xavier, granting Cassandra some psionic powers herself, including the ability to exit the womb and create a body with which she sought revenge on Xavier. Cassandra is Xavier's ideological dark shadow bent on destruction and genocide. She is most famous for commanding an army of sentinels to massacre 16 million mutants within the mutant homeland of Genosha. In 2009, Cassandra Nova was ranked as IGN's 50th greatest comic book villain of all time, the only villain from the 21st century to make the list. Her first appearance will be in this. But more importantly, I just wanted to get into what her powers are so we can kind of identify with what these guys are going to be going up against, because it sounds like I don't know how they're going to be able to do this. So her abilities, and maybe why this is going to be so many cameos, because you're going to have all these people kind of ganging up on her. Her abilities include telepathy, telekinesis, DNA duplication, spontaneous cell regeneration, intangibility, cosmic fire and infernal control, immunity to magic and mimicry, premonition, mind and body exchange, mind control, soul gathering, and dematerialization. That's pretty god tier, bro. So, like, what do you think about her? What do you think's gonna happen? She had a really cool scene where she's kind of playing with Wolverine.
Yeah,
making
when they're
like
fighting.
a puppet, like a marionette. I was like, she seems really cool.
Yeah, honestly, that was totally hype too. When he's going to fight her and she's just like that, and then throws his claws like into the ground. I'm like, dude, it's so sick. So, I mean, I'm pretty hyped because it's someone like powerful, so it's not gonna be some just dumb, oh, I stab you and you're dead type villain.
Well, I'm just curious, like, how are they gonna fight her? It doesn't. I mean, what can they do to her? It's like
we have two immortal people that could try to figure it out. Essentially, immortal people.
I got a feeling that there's going to be. I mean, I think that's why this movie is going to be loaded with cameos. It's going to be a little bit of. Cable's going to do this. Xavier's going to freeze her in the astral plane. It's going to be like a bunch of little things. But like, I can't wait to see the next trailer because. I mean, obviously, we're going through this timeline. It seems like they're kind of expanding her genocide role to being like multiverse genocide, and it seems like she's probably the one that wiped out Wolverine's past and all this other stuff. So it just seems like she's going through these multiverses and eradicating everything, and it's going to be really interesting to see, like, is it just because that's how she was born, or does she actually have like a motive and wants something to happen?
Are you caught up on X-Men 97?
Yeah, I finished. What was it, episode 7 is the latest one, right?
I don't know. I haven't watched. I haven't seen it, but I was gonna say, didn't something like that just happen? Is she in?
No. It's
someone else, but with Geno.
Yeah, 97. They bring in Bastion, and if you guys aren't familiar with Bastion, he's a combination of like Nimrod and Master Mold fused together in kind of like a synthetic kind of version of like, dude. So they bring in dude, a lot of people don't know who Bastion is, but his voice, and I didn't look it up, kind of sounds like, is it Dad off of or no, who's
Kids Next Door?
Yeah, he kind of has that kind of voice. So
I would love it. I was going to
ask you. So if you've been waiting on it, do it, because the next episode, the final episode, will be on Wednesday, so you can finish through it. But yeah, they just had a thing where this like kaiju style Sentinel came through and wrecked Genosha, and yeah, that is kind of a fitting thing. I wonder if they're going to bring in Sentinels with this one.
I don't know. I've always loved the Sentinel design, as long as they use the classic design, though. Because even though I love the Days of Future Past movie, I'm not crazy about those Sentinels. I love that classic, like, purple, weird look.
Yeah, that nice, like, what would you call it, like a fuchsia?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, is there anything else you want to get into? Because, I mean, the trailer's the trailer, and we'll know more in a couple months, but... Coming
out way sooner than I thought it was, for sure, so I'm so hyped.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what they do with her. She looks cool, and everybody in it is dope. So, the only thing I want to end it with is that Deadpool is actually a pretty healthy... series of movies. The first movie, so let's see, the first one when it came out, the film achieved both financial and critical success. It earned $782.8 million against a $58 million budget, which is fantastic, becoming the 9th highest grossing film of 2016 and breaking numerous records, including the highest grossing film in the X-Men series and the highest grossing R-rated film at the time. So the first one was 782. The second one was 785. Not a huge jump, but an increase nonetheless. And usually it's kind of hard for the next movies to keep toppling each other. Now, I have no doubt in my mind.
For rated R comedy.
For rated R. I have no doubt in my mind that number 3 is going to pass both of them. The question is, does it hit $1 billion?
I don't know that it'll hit $1 billion. It for sure will pass just due to Wolverine alone. Like, that guarantees people buying
Would
tickets.
it over under 50% that it cracks $1 billion?
I want it to, so I want to say over.
Yeah, I think it's got a chance because there's just too much in this movie for everybody not to go see it. Because like number 1 was fantastic, and number 2 was good, but it wasn't, I don't think, better than number 1. So I could see maybe the decline. But when you're watching the new trailer, like, dude, I want you to see everything in this.
Provided this movie is that good,
I'd go watch it twice.
I was going to say, with how lackluster Marvel and some other comic book movies have been, this might be that movie that people are like, oh man, that was so good. I've been dying for a good movie. I would love to go see that again because it was just such a breath of fresh air, you know?
Yeah, I think it looks fantastic. I'll put my money that it does hit $1 billion, and it looks great. And nothing but high hopes for it. And again, when it comes out in 2.5 months, we will dive into it. So, guys, that was all we had for you today. We're just going to do a nice quick episode. We got some packing to do. Andrew you're leaving right after work tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
So enjoy, guys, the rest of your night. That is episode 193. Join us next time for episode 194. And until next time, guys, my name is Craig Perales. That is Mandrew Montemayor. Cheers.
See you out there.